Okay, yeah, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of information on the work of others. So that's topic 3.3. Now, yeah, in this year's advanced information, this isn't mentioned, this topic, but it is often something they like to bring up. Now, I'd say it's worth actually knowing a little bit about at least one of these designers in here. You pick one that you just resonates with you. I mean, there's a few to pick from. And a few companies as well. Like I've picked ones that are very sort of design centered. They're not. I mean, there are some others like Coco Chanel, and yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember some other fashion designers as well. Ettore Sotsas as well, who's mentioned in the textbook, but I've not put them in here just because I think there's sort of three safe standards to work with. Right. Norman Foster is a good one to remember. He's a very famous, worldwide, very famous architect. He's done um, architecture all around the world. Now, Hong Kong actually has quite a few buildings that he's designed. If you just Google like Hong Kong Norman Foster, you'll see obviously the HSBC headquarters, but there's also um, he sort of did the airport as well. I mean, it wasn't him directly, but it was like his group did the Chek-Lap-Kok airport. And they also did the convention exhibition center as well. So they've done a lot, and they're famous for having very, very contemporary designs, lots of clean lines, very geometric, very lots of steel and glass, like very, very contemporary looking bits of architecture. This one's really famous, the Reichstag Dome in Berlin on the government building. Now, this is kind of cool because it basically provides light, natural light down into the chamber beneath, which is where they hold government. So the dome allows the light to come in, and then it has these mirrors, this sort of cone of mirrors that then reflects that light down into the chamber below. And it's got this sort of sun shield that rotates around throughout the day so that it's not too direct, it's not too much sun to then heat up the chamber below. So it's a very clever design. This is a British Museum in London, which is they've renovated an old building and then put this glass canopy over the roof of the atrium. So it's now this amazing design. Like you walk in, it really is breathtaking. Um, yeah, so he's always got a very contemporary style, very, very attentive to detail. Like he really does design down to the tiniest detail. Um, yeah, so he's a good one to remember. Another one that's good to remember is if if that doesn't resonate with you is this guy Sir Alec Isigonis. He designed he's famous for having designed the original Mini, the first generation Mini, which is designed to be an affordable car. This is designed in like the 1950s, and it was famous because it was very compact, and it was very affordable for all families of not all families, but a lot of families of a range of means, financial means, could afford to buy a Mini. You could just about fit a family of four in there with a few things in the trunk at the back, and it was efficient. It ran on very little petrol or gas, and it could largely be self-serviced as well. It was sort of designed to be um, taken care of and serviced by the user. That's the sort of famous first sketch he did of it. So that was really what it was all about. It was meant to be a small, very compact car. It was meant to be very fuel efficient, and the reason for that was he was trying to make it more accessible to a larger group of people. So that more people could basically have cars. That was the idea. Okay, moving on to like an actual company. Braun is quite famous. You've probably seen in the DT department. There's like a couple of Braun things up there. Certainly posted in the design museum. There's a few Braun products. Now there's a guy called Dieter Rams who worked for Braun back in the sort of 1970s. It's a German company, and they were sort of known for designing back in the day like very, very minimalistic, clean, very functional products that have a very sort of natural look. Like they didn't really go for many colors. It's very what we call deliberate design. There was only things in there that needed to be there. Everything was very simple. Lots of like just right angles, circles, and that was about it. There's no sort of compound curves or anything like that. It was all very straightforward. Now, Apple are kind of known for having taken design influence from Braun. I mean, you can sort of see the design of the calculator there on the iPhone. Well, that's the old one, but it's very similar. The same with the iPod sort of comparison to this Braun radio. Now, Braun's changed a lot now. Like, I mean, now they are completely different in their design style. I think Dieter Rams would not be impressed with what Braun does now, which is some fairly like naff sort of bathroom kitchen products and things like that. It's a very, very unremarkable company now. So it's almost a shame they've lost this lovely aesthetic that they used to have. Apple is obviously an easy one. That's actually Dieter Rams up there on the top right. Yeah, Apple's a good one to talk about as well if there's the option. I mean, it's obviously known for being very sort of like minimalistic, very trendy, and yeah, and they've developed a lot of innovations and a lot of patented technology, and they've sort of made compute. They were the guys that really made computing accessible to the everyday person. So it wasn't like you had to know how to use code to use a computer. You could actually just anyone can use it. They were the first ones to really do like a user friendly computing experience. So it's very sort of playful designs. It's all about usability, all about clean geometric lines, neutral colors, very similar to Braun. And the last one of my least favorites is James Dyson. Yeah, sure, the products are kind of interesting in their design. They are known for producing sort of innovative ways of creating solutions to problems. So he's famous for designing this vacuum cleaner that didn't use a bag. It created a little sort of cyclone inside to create suction, and it was a lot more efficient. Yeah, and then he's sort of taken that forward with a number of different products that work with air. So the hand dryer there, and then the hair dryer. I mean, sure, they're great. They're fairly unimpressive products. Well, the technology is not unimpressive, but what they actually are is fairly unimpressive because they are literally just vacuum cleaners and hair dryers and things. There's nothing terribly remarkable about this. Yeah, and that's it really. I mean, the only one I missed off was Harry Beck at the beginning. Harry Beck's this old dude here with the glasses. He was famous for having completely redesigned the London Underground map. So that was the underground map as it was originally drawn back in 1908 when the tube was sort of being built, and there was some lines, and all the lines were owned by different rail companies. It was all a bit of a mess. And so he decided that the people needed a readable and easy to understand map. So he developed a geometric design. Now, interestingly, this was rejected by the Undergrounds and by the City of London when he first developed it, because they were like, well, Wimbledon is nowhere near Morden, so but on the map here it looks like it is near it. So they were saying like, that's deceptive, and that would be misleading to users. And so yeah, it took a while for him to actually get this pushed through, and eventually the City of London adopted this, and it was found to be a massive success. And having like a unified typeface or font, having all these sort of geometric lines that all run they're all parallel in whichever direction they flow in, having a symbol for what we call interchanges where you can change lines, or just having dots for where you can't change lines. They're only exits and entries. Yeah, and different colors for the different lines for where they go, for the different names of the lines. Yeah, and from that, really, I mean, it could be argued that fed into then obviously the modern design. That's the London Underground now, which is this massive underground train network, and then into it's even influenced like modern day developments of metropolitan railways. So yeah, the sort of very clean, very geometric lines, 45 degrees, horizontals, nice radii there, signifiers of dots or sausages, depending on what the I don't know why I said sausage there. You call it a burger if you want, depending on if it's an intersection or just simply a sort of on and off station. So yeah, I mean that's really what he's famous for. It's an interesting piece of graphic design.